5 more signs that you may be lacking self-awareness. If you checked out my last video, it was about the 5 signs of lacking self-awareness. Well, these are 5 more signs that you might be lacking self-awareness. So listen to this video with the open mind, open heart, open perspective. And if you identify with any of these signs, good. That means you have the ability, you're alive, you're breathing, you have eyes to see, ears to hear, mouth to talk, mind to analyze. That means you still have a chance, okay? So we're gonna get into it right now, my royalties. Okay, so number 6, suppress your emotions. You lack self-awareness if you suppress your emotions. If you continue on to suppress your emotions and bottle them up, normally, like what I used to do, normally when people bottle up their emotions, they want to, 1, keep the peace, or 2, they don't want to confront their demons right now, you could say. They don't want to like take responsibility. So, or any number of things, really. So when people suppress their emotions and they keep their emotions suppressed and don't talk to anybody about them, or don't write it down in a journal, or do anything to let it out, you're basically letting more negativity in. Like if you don't like, like when a balloon gets filled with air, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you fill that balloon with too much air, and the more it expands, it can pop. And so that's the same thing with your emotions. When you suppress your emotions for a long time and it keeps building and building and building, the more you suppress them, the balloon gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point, at some point, this is going to happen. At some point, it's going to pop. And when you don't talk about what you're feeling or your emotions then and there, the balloon will pop after a while. And then once you express your emotions and finally let your emotions out, just like the balloon popped, you will pop, and you will, and your emotions will now be all over the place. You will be like hyper excited and so everywhere, so eclectic, erratic, and all over the place, and people will look at you like you're crazy, because now you're acting crazy because you didn't express your emotions there at that moment, there and then, when you wanted to. And so the more you suppress your emotions, the balloon will pop, you will pop, and people look at you like you popped, and it's not a good sight at all. And so that's what I'm saying, like, this comes to, this could have physical consequences as well. Like, basically you're telling subconsciously, you're telling your mind, oh, my thoughts, my opinions, what I feel doesn't matter. I'm not going to express it, I'm not going to feel it, I'm not going to do anything. And the subconscious will have an effect on your subconscious, and now you will start to feel it in your body. You will start to have like different ailments come up. You might start to feel a little hurt, a little sting in the back of your neck, or your hands might start to hurt, or your body, you'll start to have like body aches, all because you are suppressing that emotion. And every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And so the more you suppress your emotions, the more it'll have an effect on your body and your relationship. So what I'm saying is, if you lack self-awareness if you suppress your emotions. So don't do that. If you don't have no one to talk to, write it down in a journal, whatever. Because I don't want y'all to have physical aches and pains because you decided not to express, or get sick because of stress of of not writing down or expressing your emotions. All right, I know it seems like a small little thing, but it's not. Trust me, I've been through it. It is not. Okay, so don't suppress your emotions. All right. Next, another way you might another sign you might lack self-awareness is if you do not have realistic goals. All right. To achieve goals, you must be honest with yourself about what you need to work on and reflect. Okay, so let's say let's say I want to have. All right, let's use me as an example. Okay. Let's say I want to have 100K YouTube subscribers, which I do, and I will have them at some point. But right now I have 100 something subscribers, which is wonderful. I'm so grateful for that number. But let's say yes. So I'm not gonna think to myself, oh my God, I will have 100K subscribers by tomorrow. And if that doesn't happen, I get sad. No, that's not setting a realistic goal. A realistic goal is saying, oh, I will have 100 more subscribers in the next 2 weeks or a month or 2 months or something like that. Okay, like you have to have the realistic goal lined up with yourself and your perspective and your expectations, but you have to be realistic about those expectations. Like, if you don't put in the work, you can't expect to become a millionaire by next year. All right, like you have to make realistic goals for yourself. They can't be outlandish goals, because that'll show lacking self-awareness, and you just want the easy way out, and you don't want to do the work, and you don't want to really succeed. You just want fast cash or whatever. You just want a shortcut, and life doesn't work that way. It does not. And so if you're having a hard time, if it's hard for you to make realistic goals, then I suggest that you reflect on yourself and what you want out of life, and that you write these things down. And if it is hard for you to make realistic goals, I love affirmations. All right, so I would say, if it's hard to make realistic goals, just say, I make realistic goals. I make realistic goals. And say that over and over and over and over again until you believe it, all right? I make realistic goals. And the more you say that, the more you say that, and it opens the door into your spirit, into your mind, into your soul, into your subconscious, the more you will believe it. And from then on, you will actually start making realistic goals and reflecting on what you want to do and what you want to achieve. But a person with low self-awareness just thinks that it will be like very easy and very quick, and it won't. You have to set realistic goals, realistic expectations. You have to take you have to make a right strategy. You have to take action. You have to move strategically. You have to do, like, there are many steps. You have to do all of this, okay? Like, if you don't set realistic goals for yourself, it's going to be very, very, very hard. Okay, and a person with low self-awareness finds it hard to make realistic goals because they aren't aware of what is real. There we go. They're not aware of what is real. And so if you're not aware of what is real, of course you cannot make realistic goals, right? So I'm saying, like, if you're having trouble with making realistic goals, or it's like hard for you, just take the first step and at least affirm to yourself, now on, I am making realistic goals. I am making realistic goals. And keep affirming that to yourself, and just start the process, like start the healing now, all right? Let's see. Next, you lack a sense of identity. People with high self-awareness consistently display actions with their internal self-beliefs. So if you lack a sense of identity, and like if you're like how I was in high school and like all over the place, like next month I was a hip hop girl. Coming next month I was dressed in like wearing black nail polish. Like next month in high school, I wanted dreads. Like people who lack a self identity tend to go through like many phases and don't really know constructively, hasn't come to like a consensus of who they are yet. And so like when you lack a self identity, like I used to with my mom, I love my mom, okay, rest in peace, but like she laid on me like the type of self identity she wanted me to identify with. And so I never really got to like learn about myself. I was just 100% what she wanted me to be, and I never got to really learn me. And so when you lack a self identity, your self-awareness is very low, and you feel lost, and you feel contrived, and you feel little. But once you develop a self-awareness and you realize your own self-identity, and you're able to see what things you believe in, what you want out of life, your expectations and everything, from then on your self-awareness will go higher and you will be able to thrive. But if you lack a self-identity, that means you're really just all over the place. You're erratic, and what is that quote? If you don't stand for something, you're fall for anything. If you lack a sense of identity, you really don't believe in anything, and that's not good at all. And so once you're able to build those cornerstones, those pillars of your values, of your what you believe in, of your beliefs, your attitudes, your decisions, you'll be able to make much better choices into what you want and what you stand for and what you believe in once you develop your own unique sense of identity. And from then on, you'll be able to thrive in what makes you you. And from then on, you will have something to believe in. You won't be all over the place. You will develop a detailed and specific picture of who you are, an avatar of who you are, and that's good, because I mean, labels are good to an extent. Of course, it's good to have labels on cans of food because you know what a tomato is and what is a eggplant. You know what I mean? And so like it's good to have labels to an extent, alright? It's good I get the whole argument of not having labels and having labels, I get it. But at some point, we all need to identify with who we are. At the end of the day, we are all human. We all have blood, the same blood flowing through our brains. We all have legs and arms and a brain and a heart, alright? But and even though it goes like deeper than that, we still have to identify with our values and our beliefs and why we are the way we are. And once you have an identity, once you're able to see who you are and you're not all over the place, that's when the self-awareness will begin, and that's when you will start to make decisions related to you and your growth, and not having other people make decisions for you. You have a brain, you can think for yourself, you can speak for yourself, so speak for yourself. Let's see, next one is, if you, another sign you may lack low self-awareness is if you're not staying on task. High self-awareness, you are able to recognize when your mind starts wandering. So if you're okay, let me see, a good example. So if you're washing dishes and let's see, there's 5 dishes in the sink, and you are washing dishes, but you keep looking at the time and looking outside the window and looking at your phone. And okay, you know what? Let me take this even further. So when you have a job, and when, let's say you work in Subway, because I used to work in Subway. So let's say you have a job, right? And your job is to make sandwiches, obviously, because this is Subway. But you people, and you're constantly on your phone, and you're constantly playing with your hair. I did none of these. I'm just saying, okay, as an example. I was a great employee, okay? So, and you're constantly like twiddling your thumbs, and like you can't stay focused on a task. You're constantly like doing everywhere and your mind wanders. That might be a sign you lack self-awareness, because, and you know what's going to happen? You're going to get fired because you can't stay on task and make the darn sandwich. And so one of the ways you lack self-awareness is if you're constantly wandering, your mind goes off, you're easily distracted, and you can't stay focused on a single task or assignment for a period of time. And so people with high self-awareness are able to stay on task, and they're able to get the job done if no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and they're able to most of the time they are recognized and praised for their outstanding work. And so if you're a person with low self-awareness and you're constantly distracted and your mind is constantly wandering, you may have low self-awareness. And this goes also back to self-identifying and everything, because if you're able to self-identify who you are and what you want and what goals you want to accomplish, then you will stay on task. You will stay on task. You will get those tasks and goals accomplished if you know who you are. And so a person with low self-awareness, they can't stay on task, and they're easily distracted, and their mind constantly wanders. It could be for many reasons, but just safe to say that, like, if you cannot stay on task, and if you cannot stay on point, on subject, then that means your mind is someplace else, and you really don't know really what to do. You're confused, and it could be like 100 other factors. But if you're not staying on task, that is a problem, and that problem can create and does create other problems as well. And so it's not just one thing. There's a whole plethora of other things problems that could lead to, because you're not staying on task. And you know how they say, if one thing, my mom used to tell me this all the time, if you're having an issue in your life, okay, let's say you're not a listener in school, then that's going to translate to not being a listener on your job, not being a listener in relationships, not being a listener in other areas of your life. You know what I'm saying? And so if you're not staying on task, washing the dishes, or on task doing your job, then you're going to be not on task in other areas of your life as well. It's not just one thing. One thing has the potential to affect many other things. And so that's why I'm saying that it's good to, if you really know who you are and what goals you want to set and what goals you want to accomplish, then staying on task is one of the ways you are implementing self-awareness. And if you're not on task, if you're easily distracted, which I do go into my book that I hope to get published in an agent for, and do my query. But I'm sorry, I digress. But if you do not stay on task, that means you have low self-awareness, and that's something you need to work on. So once again, another affirmation for you. I stay on task. Say, I stay on task. I stay on task. And believe it or not, I know I do this hokey pokey affirmation stuff, but affirmations really do help, and they have helped me a lot, and that's why I am telling you all about them, because I want you all to thrive. I want you all to prosper. I don't want you all to not know who you are and what you are, and just, I'm hoping and praying that these 5 signs will at least help you, and will at least open your mind to question and reflect on yourself. And so the last